this is Christian Van Day. So, Hypno Helen and Coach Christian. So, I thought that we'd talk about what's going on whilst in lockdown. So, the last month or so, and both myself and Christian work here at HypnoFit, of course, and he's also my life partner. And so, about a month ago, we've all gone into lockdown, and it was all about feeding the soul, comforting the soul with the things that made us feel good, like chocolate and ice cream. For me, alcohol, not for Christian. Christian doesn't drink alcohol. And it became like a daily event where we made perhaps choices that we would normally only have, like what I call party food once a week. But instead, we were getting into the habit of eating these foods almost every night. And I've been feeling myself getting bigger and bigger. I've only been wearing clothes that had elastic waist. I don't dare go into my jeans or into my other clothes that actually have a proper waist. And so after, 5 weeks of this situation where it's now getting ridiculous, I said to Christian, okay, we need to stop. Neither of us want to roll out of here. So we need to take control of our habits. And even though that this is my expertise. My expertise is weight loss. I've written a book called Mindset Dominance, and it's all about using the mind to achieve our goals. We all need assistance, and we all need support, and we all need accountability. And so I went to Christian and I said, help, I need help. And so Christian did a little Christian did a little plan. And what did you do?
Basically, I just sat Helen down and we had a frank discussion about setting some goals and about how we might achieve them best of all. And I just started off with a big picture scenario first of all. And I said, Helen, let's just identify the goal of where we want to go. Let's not worry about where we are right now because we can change that, but where do we want to be? So that was step number one. So we had a chat about that. And Helen gave me some input about ideally the sort of weight she wants to be without mentioning any numbers today, and then also about just fitting into some clothes and also about how she feels in general. So I identified on the big picture to start with, and we took a macro approach to where we want to be, and that was really step number one, and that was about identifying exactly what the goal was and where you want to go.
Yep, and a big part of that was how I feel. So it's not just a number on a scale, but it's how I feel. And, other people say, oh, well, you don't look any different, but it's not about what I look like to you. It's how I feel in my own body, my own skin at this very moment. And so that was the bigger picture.
Sure. And from there, once we ascertained or had a good clear picture in mind of where we want to go, we then break it down into what behaviours do we feel will lead to getting to that result. So that was looking at what are those things that, based on Helen's experience in the past, what she's done in the past, what's always worked for her, because if there's stuff that's happened in the past that's worked, there's no point reinventing the wheel. Let's just go back to what's worked in the past. So we had a bit of a chat about that, and there were probably 3 things that we identified which were pretty critical to getting some success and moving forward. So I thought to myself and spoke to Helen. I said, let's identify and let's write down what those 3 things were.
So these were the 3 things that I chose would make the biggest difference in my in achieving my goals, to make sure that I didn't roll out of here at the end of this lockdown period. So the 3 things that I chose were, number 1, I said special occasion food, which I call party food. So for those of you who read my book, Mindset Dominance, I differentiate between party food and everyday food. And I said, let's have special occasion food no more than once a week. So going back to, the cheese, the dips, the olives, the rice biscuits, the wine, the champagne, literally I was having a party, every night here. And that just, it's going to have consequences. And so I said, special occasion food needs to be for special occasions. No more than 1 meal a week. That's the first thing. The second thing that I said was important to me was daily planned meals. So at this point in time, every time I, wanted to procrastinate about doing a task, I'd get up and eat. Number 2, not eating after 7:30. So prior to lockdown, Christian and I never really watched TV. We never put the TV on. It would be dinner, have a big chat, and literally go, to bed, read some books, talk about what we're reading, listen to some podcasts together. But we don't watch TV. But since lockdown, we've been watching the news, and so it's like, oh, we better see what's going on the news. And so we've been sitting up and actually watching TV at a time that we don't usually watch anything, and
eating
at the same time. So ice cream, chocolate, even, dare I say, chips, everything. And so wine. And so I've said, the third thing for me is no eating after 7:30 p.m. The body doesn't need anything after that time. Let's stop it. And then Christian said, well, out of those three things,
let's just start off small. If you're going to eat an elephant, the best way to do it is chunk by chunk. So we just said, out of those three things, seeing as we're coming out of this 4-week food coma, let's just do one of them. Let's just get one of them down pat first. And let's focus on that and make that a habit. Let's do something around that which we can do every day before we start tackling everything else. Because if we try and do everything at once, we might end up doing none of them. So let's start with one of them. And out of those three things, which was the special occasion food, eating after 7:30 p.m. or not having planned meals, what is this isolation or lockdown effect impacting us most of all? And I think we both agreed on the fact that...
Oh, don't say which one yet.
No? Okay.
Because I want to say that when Christian said, which one out of those three is going to make the biggest impact, my initial response was, oh, do you mean which one is the easiest? Because let's do the easiest first. Let's do the easiest to implement first. And Christian said, no. Not the easiest. Which habit is going to make the biggest impact first?
And that was quite clearly the fact that while we were home the whole time, almost 24 hours a day, and having access to food 24 hours a day, there's just no structure. It was just walking up to the fridge whenever we wanted it. And just eating food. It didn't matter if it was 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., all the way through to bedtime. It just didn't matter because we had access to food the whole time. There was just no structure. And I thought the most important thing right here, right now, was to put some meal times back into place. A bit like going back to the schoolyard, I guess. There's breakfast, and then there's recess, and then there's lunch, afternoon tea, and then there's dinner time. And there's times that we program in what we're going to eat every day.
Yeah.
So we decided to sit down at the beginning of each day and work out what those meals are.
Exactly. And so now this is really clear. Now this is really important. So the only habit that we were changing for the whole week was one habit, just one habit. And that one habit is, what is our meal structure going to be for that day? So let's lock down every morning. This is what Christian said. Let's get, what time are we going to sit down and we're going to work out what we're going to eat for the day and what times we're going to eat that during the day. Now, that doesn't mean we're on a diet and we can't have things that we enjoy. In fact, on the very first day, I had actually nominated for two of my snacks. One was a piece of cake and one was an ice cream.
Absolutely.
So the fact remains that even by nominating a piece of cake and an ice cream, it's still going to be less than I ate the day before, because the day before I was just eating anything I wanted any time of the day. So it's not about, oh, you can't have ice cream or you can't have chocolate or you can't have whatever, but nominate how much. So we've got a plate of homemade cake in the fridge, and I knew that I didn't want to resist that or let that go to waste. And so I wanted to enjoy one piece of that yummy cake every single day. And if I have one piece, I'm right. The problem was previously I was having
multiple pieces. But the important thing, the task wasn't anything to do with food. It wasn't about macros or nutrition or anything like that. The point of this task was to establish some set meal times. So the contents of those meals really wasn't the issue. And not for the first week that we're going to do this. That's really not the issue. The issue is, let's get some structured meal times back in place, and let's stick to those meal times. And what we eat during those meal times, we can change that moving forward. We can do stuff in the future about improving those choices. But when you're coming from a very low base after 4 weeks of isolation, which we were or are, that wasn't really the focus. The focus in terms of getting the habit right was setting down some meal times and sticking to the meal times. It wasn't about what we we have times over the next 4 to 5 days and locking that in. So small changes over a period of time become automatic, and that's what the important part of this process is. Small changes over a period of time equals being automatic. And then moving forward, we'll look at foods and quantities and nutrition and all the rest of it. But right now, just small changes on a daily basis.
And I think, Christian is saying in terms of small changes, because if you say to yourself, right, tomorrow I'm going on a diet, I'm going to only have chicken salad for lunch, and I'm going to have fish and veggies for dinner, and I'm going to have eggs for breakfast, no in-betweens, and, no alcohol, no this, no that. It's like at 4 p.m., we've all done this, we've all gone, oh, this is just too hard, go back to the champagne and cheese, thanks very much. So it's about just making one change and making that change stick. So it's a really important change that we chose, which is let's just choose the meals that we're going to have. And if we do choose ice cream or cake within those meals, that's okay, but we're not going to go outside what we've chosen for the morning. So every day we chose a specific time that we're going to sit down together. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, we sit down together at a preset time every morning, and then we just schedule in our foods for the day and our meal times. We know what the time's roughly going to be, but we need to be flexible because sometimes we have appointments or other engagements which we need to work around. But the old saying, a lack of planning, what's the saying? Is it failure plan or plan to fail? One of the two. And that's really what it's all about. So we need to be mindful every day, at the beginning of each day, to have a plan and just stick to it and say, these are the meal times throughout the day, and can we accommodate it? Because there's no point making a plan if you can't stick to it.
Exactly. And so yesterday was day one. So that's why I wanted to share this with you today, because I want to take you through this journey with us, because we're both carrying a lot more weight than we're accustomed. We're both carrying more weight than we're accustomed to. And like I said, we don't want to roll out of here at the end of this and run my workshops, So, we had day one yesterday, and to be honest, at a certain time, which is around 5 o'clock, I said, I think I will just have one glass of champagne. And Christian said to me, hey, what about if you have your glass of champagne after dinner? I went, okay, yeah, I'll wait till after dinner. And then he said, after dinner, he said to me, what about if you have a cup of tea first? I said, okay, I'll have a cup of tea first. And then
before you know it, that desire for champagne had totally dissipated because we stuck to our meal times and didn't look for any diversions or anything else.
Exactly. So it was just that little support during that time. And you can yourself, even if you're not in lockdown with your partner, you can have a buddy that you're talking to who you can do a FaceTime with. You can do you can be accountable to somebody else. And so, in my mind, yesterday I had an open bottle of champagne. I thought, one glass isn't going to make any difference. And all that Christian did was pause it, was delay that immediate need to have it. And then once I had my cup of tea, I had no taste buds there. The champagne, I was ready to go to bed early, which we did, and start reading and, leave that TV, that new habit that we just acquired that I don't like at all, out of the way, because that is something that we didn't want to do. And so, just by doing this one little thing, which is structuring your day, you can make a massive difference. I woke up today feeling, after just one day, I felt good. And the reason I felt good was because I feel like I'm just now deciding that I'm back in control. And so it's a decision. That's all it is. Like, I wasn't ready 2 weeks ago to do this. 2 weeks ago, I wanted to eat my cheese. I wanted to eat my chocolate.
And you did.
And I did. I wanted to eat my ice cream, and no one was going to tell me not to, because that's what I wanted to do. But at this point in time, it's now that we're moving into the shock of what's happened is now over. I mean, we still get shocked because it's almost like a disbelief that this is happening, but that's behind us, and now we're getting used to this new norm and doing things differently. We also need to take care of, how we feel about ourselves, because not only that, I found myself just, wearing, grunge gear every day and, just not feeling good because you're not taking care of yourself. And so by taking care of, your meals for the day and really planning as to which meals you're going to have. And again, doesn't mean you can't have your treats. It just means that you've organized it and it's not It's already pre-organized. It's not like this is what I feel like and therefore have it just because that's what you feel like at that very moment. It's like decide the morning, what are you going to have during the course of the day, and then stick with it.
Absolutely. And I did find yesterday, I did walk past the fridge a couple of times, and I thought, oh, I might just pop in because we got those slices of cake in there. But then because on the kitchen bench right next to the fridge, there was our little plan. We had our little plan of what we'd written down our meal times, and I noticed it was an hour away from one of our meal times. So I thought, oh no, I'll just wait until whatever it was, 4 o'clock or whatever, and then and eat my meal then, because at least I had a guide or a plan or something to stick to, as opposed to the previous days where it was just a free-for-all and just grabbing what you want when you want, because there was too much flexibility. So now we've got some rules in place, and even after one day, I think we've noticed some pretty profound changes already. So it's very small change over time equals automatic.
Yeah. And this is the kind of stuff that Chris and I talk about all the time at home by ourselves anyway. Like, we're always talking about habits, we're always talking about strategies, we're always talking about how to change things up, how to move forward and achieve our goals, whether those goals are relationship goals, whether those goals are habit-forming goals, whether those goals are spiritual goals or self-development goals. We're always learning, discussing, strategizing, moving forward. So what we're going to do from now on is we're actually going to get on here and talk about it and share it with you, because we thought that that would be fun.
Why not?
So Helen Hypno,
That's it.
Helen the Hypno, and Christian the coach.
That's it.
We're going to put our heads together and really just discuss our journey with you, and I hope that's been helpful. So that just think about that for yourselves in terms of who can be your accountability buddy. So who's your person that you can talk to, and what's the one biggest habit that you can change right now? Just one, not 10, just one. For us, it was structuring our day in terms of what we were going to eat during that day. So I think it's lunchtime.
Absolutely. Let me check. Yep, it's lunchtime. So we're good to go. That's it.
All right, so everybody, I hope that's been helpful to you. And if you have any queries, questions, or anything at all, just drop them by. See ya.
Bye.